So this is the Finding Significance program, and it should be fairly straightforward, but it's not. Significance is an interesting word. It means other things to other people. So with Jim Riefenberger, we're talking to friends and people and acquaintances and asking them what significance means. And so I had a chance to talk to Lauren Boyens, and Jim, I want to get your response. He said that to him, significance boiled down to one word.
I don't want to oversimplify this, but it it has to come back to service. The richest man in town.
Yes, VJ Smith and Marty.
Thank you,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you. He's a checker at Walmart in Brookings, South Dakota, and he loves everybody. He's got this service minded mentality, and in his mind, he's the richest man in town.
So some
Uh,
particulars about that guy. I believe he lived in a modest trailer home, if I'm not
that's
mistaken.
correct. Yep.
And so he definitely was not a man of financial means.
No.
We do know that when he worked at that Walmart, that people, for whatever reason, would line up behind his counter, like 10 and 12 deep, while other people were just nothing. Why?
Because the way he treated him.
And in fact, my wife, who went to another, fancier store here in town, said that you know what they do at every time you buy something at the store? They must be trained. Every one of the associates takes the bag and with your purchase, steps around the counter, presents it to you, and says, "Thank you for shopping here today. We appreciate that." I said, "Well, Marty did that. I wonder if they took that from him, right?" But that same thing, he would walk a simple purchase at, Walmart, and a lot of these were college kids, right? And he would just go around. He was, I don't know, and he was middle-aged to older middle-aged, so he wasn't in their age group, but he would walk around and shake their hand, and that kindness was, was altering, right?
Yes. It was all about service. I walked into one of our large department stores in the last month. There's this young lady who says, and she was some distance, or I was some distance from them yet, and she said, "Hello, welcome." And I was taken aback because it was so unusual. And I told her, she just made my day. Just a simple hello. And then I interacted with her some more, and she's a high school student, high school, and she has this inherent ability to make this old guy who walks into the store feel welcome, and it sure made it a lot easier to shop there. That's for
Yeah, I
sure.
find that so interesting that regardless of your age, you eliminate yourself from the ability to be significant, right? Young people say, well, I don't know, nobody knows me, I'm just a kid. But they don't realize that they are at that particular age, they're beautiful, right? They are like flowers, they're attractive. Older people don't realize the calming effect that they have. And so we take ourselves out of the equation to be significant, and we're missing the point. Anybody can be significant to anybody.
30 years ago, the company that I worked for paid a company to do a study on young people, why they were having so much difficulty in life. The suicide rate was high. This is a long time ago, and we're still talking about it today. The one thing that I recall, even to this day, is the small number of people, of young people, who thought that they mattered to adults. And I want to remember that the number was like 16%. So everything, I believe everything you said to be the truth. Yeah, it's important, regardless of our age.
Well, Jim, that's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, Jeff, I wrote a couple of things down. Um, you guys were talking, you asked him what significance meant, and he said service, and he led into the Marty story at Walmart. I heard you use the word impact. And when you use that, I saw his eyes kind of light up because I think that was even a better definition of significance. Marty's story left an impact. People got in his line. If I were to break down what I hear in Marty's story back to our master class, um, Marty had the spiritual gifts of service, encouragement, and mercy. And it was evident that people could pick up on these gifts and they wanted some of that from him. So whatever day they were having, they just loved his encouragement, his smile of service, and have mercy to notice people. And the moral of the story is I find so many people get lost in life and forget what their gifts are. And so in our map, when you open that map up into the far left and we remind you who you are, that's that one song you and I have shared that this, forgot the woman's name, but Megan Woods, but there's a line in her song that says, remember who I am. And I think that's our goal with significance is who are you? What is your greatest talents? What are your greatest spiritual gifts? And what is that passion and purpose that you have that makes the impact? And Marty knew his.
Hmm. Do you think that living a life of significance is self-evident? In other words, Marty got instant feedback because a bunch of people were in his line. This girl at the store got feedback because Lauren went out of his way to say that it was important to her. But what about the person who feels like they're doing what they're doing, but it just seems like, I don't know, I'm not getting the feedback. I don't know that what I'm doing is making a difference.
I think this is a work in progress. I think for people that are wondering what their gifts are, uh, we have to get out there and practice. I'm sure Marty's first day of running a checkout line wasn't the prettiest. Sooner or later, he started noticing people and he started to get compensation back. We talk about this in significance. There's several compensations, but he's getting joy compensation by the people's reaction. That's when you know that it's working, is when you're getting compensated, not with money, but with just joy or connection. That's when you start to realize you're on the cusp of getting somewhere.
And a reminder that this payback may take a while. I got a text from a man I knew 25 years ago when he was a teenager. And he said, Jeff, I'm looking for some books to help raise my children. I thought you did such a good job. Well, my children are long gone and grown. How did he remember me? Well, I guess he must have stood in my Marty line and I must have said the right thing at the right time and he didn't forget that. Anyway, I sent him, among other things, the book you and I wrote called Father's Wisdom. But I guess the point of it is that part of your sense of significance will come from others, but part of it will also come from here, where you'll just feel that this is right for you. And then wait, and then you will eventually see the fruit. Could be right away, could take a while, but that's another part of the component.
You know,
Well,
I also add one thing, Jeff. I think underlying question you were trying to get at earlier about Marty is when you know if it's right. I see work as a platform to use your gifts. So let's say Marty kind of realized he was encouraging and serving and had empathy towards people. But the place that he worked at didn't like him to use those and gave him a different job. Then it's time for a different platform. When people can't see your gifts and let you use them, then that's the problem. You're not the problem. You're just not letting them be used. Now, obviously, Walmart saw it and they just said, let him do it. And that's what I see. I see some people get their gifts suppressed because sometimes people don't even know they exist.
hmm,
And here's where the real leadership of growth comes from significance. You're growing as a leader. You're leading yourself. and you're leading others. If you're not noticing other people's gifts, you're struggling as a leader.
And if you feel that your gifts aren't being used, you either have to talk to your leadership team or you maybe have to talk to yourself and find that space.
And have you ever seen workplaces where the leadership itself doesn't do a very good job, but the coworkers among themselves rally with their own gifts and lean on each other and keep the person going? We see it all the time.
People will talk about great culture and they say, well, it's top down. Well, it probably should be. But I've seen places that have great culture had nothing to do with the owner or the boss. The coworkers seem to figure out a way to build that.
I saw a teacher or met a teacher recently that was feeling heavy about the workplace. And there's this sort of little stuffed animal. I don't know exactly what it is. It moves around the building, and then people who have it share a word of encouragement, and they leave it to somebody else. And as disheartened as she was about her job, somebody recognized her and praised her for what she does, and it just changed everything. Now, if you were the leader of that organization and you paid attention to that, you would have saw the difference in attitude, energy, joy. That's what you're looking for. And let's go back to Lauren's second person that he met at the store. That person has realized one attribute of a great person: notice other people. They use their smile, their body language, their act of serving to say hello, comforting. They're gifted for it. People with serving gifts have great eye contact, great smiles, great body demeanor. They don't even know it, but they just do. They have an inviting personality. So, as simple as it sounds, uh, I mean, it's shocking, but people leave significance and go, wow, I just feel so good to know what my gifts are, what I'm really supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, and it's kind of obvious. I mean, people say, "Well, I guess this it's like the nose on my face. I just didn't notice it. This is my gift. This is what I'm good at." And to discover that is really kind of freeing for them. So I'll leave it with that, just to say that if you're struggling and wondering what that looks like for you, you're listening to the right program, you're watching the right program. If you have any questions for where you are at in the world, please send us a message. We're happy to talk about it because, after all, this is how we find significance by helping you find your significance. So until we talk, I'm Jeff Gould.
I'm Jim Riefenberger.
God bless.